Hey y'all, this is Morgan, and there's a couple of things I wanted to get out of the way before starting this week's episode. So I'm sitting down to edit this right now on Monday the 29th for an episode that fingers crossed is going to go live tomorrow morning on Tuesday the 30th. As you might know, there has been a sweeping wave of allegations of misconduct, both in terms of sexual abuse, harassment, and grooming, but also workplace misconduct and abuses of power that has run through Twitch, the video games industry, and even where many of us reside in the fighting game community. In fact, while we were even recording this announcement, there was a developing story where Chris G had been dropped from Evil Geniuses, and since all of us tend to be pretty far on the left politically, and we care about the safety and security of the communities that we are involved in, it's something that was collectively bouncing around our shared noggins, and we wanted to talk about. Now, we did try in this episode to touch on the subject, but realized pretty quickly that we were in over our heads and that this was both a sensitive subject that deserved a more focused discussion and also greater preparedness from us individually. And after talking about it, all three of us got together and decided to cut that portion out of this week's episode. I'm sorry in advance for the rough cut and for it being a little bit shorter than usual, but collectively we think that this is for the best, not only for the podcast, but also that this is a very serious matter that deserves a more focused attention, hence why I'm talking to you now before we get into things. On a personal note, I would like to say, as someone who has been harassed and has been abused in the past, I would try to make a personal plea here that as during this current wave of allegations, and undoubtedly those that are going to follow, please give the people that are coming forward respect and the benefit of the doubt. Even if the person being accused or the company being accused has maybe they're a friend of yours, maybe they produce media that you love or identify with, it's an enormous personal risk to come forward in these types of situations, and that often the same power structures that initially enabled people to be taken advantage of and hurt do still exist and do still have power over them. Maybe an abusive boss knows their current worker, or maybe they see each other at conferences. It sucks, and it's a messy, gross, and complicated situation that is ripe with both bad actors, but also the enabling factor of structural inequalities, and maybe we'll talk about that later in a separate discussion, but it's not going to be in this one. I apologize for the rough cut. It was sort of a game time decision from us to do that, but I hope you can still enjoy the episode and you'll keep tuning in. This has been fun for us. And yeah, please believe women, men, believe people, and just try to stay wavy out there. And that's it for me. Please enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye. That was even better. See? It was even better. It was perfect. That was actually perfect.
I have doubts.
Oh?
This is like the LA Norm meme. Doubt.
We had such a good clap. Listen, I'm not blaming you. I'm not mad at you. I'm just really in awe of how good that clap was. that first clap. That's all. That's all. It has nothing to do with you.
Perfect on the pod, and one person is not recording. It does not make a sound.
Fine. Hello and welcome to the YASEcast. This is episode lucky number 13. I am your host, as always, Lamo. With me today, I have two beautiful guests. I have with me Morgan.
What's good?
And I have Velius.
Hello.
We're keeping it real with a 3-person group today, the classic trio. Oh my gosh. What a week. What a weekend. What a wild past couple of days. It's Tuesday, but it feels like it's Tuesday 3 weeks in the future already. That's how this week is going so far. Not even, it's been a hell of a week. But let's move on past that though. What have y'all been up to this past week? What y'all been reading, playing, enjoying, watching? You know.
I do know. I've been away. I've had an off week, which means I've got a lot of things on my mental. I'm sure we can get to a couple of them. I started a new series with my partner last weekend and then finished it, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which was excellent. with the exception of Velius and I were talking about before recording, there is one very uncomfortable plot line that people that have watched it probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you just like ignore all of it, which you can because it's not integral to the plot at all, it's a great series about sort of a late bloomer lesbian and her dragon turned maid, and like their emerging sort of very queer story of like chosen family of like humans and supernatural creatures that kind of emerges throughout the series and all that, and made my heart happy. So that was cool.
Right on.
And
that's one of the ones that I've seen it, and I know I've at least saved it to my instant queue or whatever, but I hadn't watched it yet. So it's a little worried about if there are some capital P problematic things in there, but I'm glad that otherwise though it seems like it's things that can be relatively easily ignored, and the rest of the series seems to be pretty on point.
You can just skip it all, and you know it's funny. It's a 13 episode run, so like we knocked it out basically in a weekend, and like weekend and change. So that's like it's a quick fun show. It's really wholesome and heartwarming, with the exception of a very unfortunate plotline that I really wish wasn't there. But beyond that, yeah, it was good. I had a lot of fun with it, and I also, as of last night, finished the most recent expansion or the main story quest for Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Shadows were brought.
Yeah, you fucking did.
Yeah, I fucking did. I was yelling. I was like, there's been, I think there's something to go with as Shadowbringers gets brought up a lot as kind of the like the best Final Fantasy is something that I've heard quite a bit. Like not even just as an expansion, just like this is the best Final Fantasy game. And I know some people might have different opinions. I personally right now am of that opinion.
All right.
I feel like there was a lot going on within sort of a blending, and maybe we talk about this later too, and a more focused discussion between people that do play the game. Because I think right now, I don't think Velius plays it. But the blending of like a JRPG story with sort of the investment that you get from having an MMO character. Yeah. Like you create and you do, like there's a synergy that happened there that didn't really click for me until the climax of Shadowbringers. And then I was like, oh, this is absolutely like a reaction and like an emotional resonance that I'm getting from this story's climax that I would not get if it wasn't for that like sort of cross-genre JRPG MMO thing that Final Fantasy XIV does. And that was, the payoff was huge.
God, I'm still... Yeah, because so I finished Shadowbringers maybe a week and a half ago. So I'm also still very much riding that high, and was also absolutely just yelling towards the last parts. When you're doing that last trial, I'm just like, yeah, fucking throw that shit, let's go! Like, I was losing my goddamn mind, just having a fucking blast. Absolutely amazing story. I don't know if I can put it at my number one, but I easily my favorite expansion in 14, easily one of my favorite Final Fantasy stories, especially if you consider all the way back to Ardbert, who's the character introduced a couple expansions ago, actually, for Final Fantasy 14. Yeah.
Like Ardbert's in Vanilla.
He wasn't Vanilla?
Yeah, I think he's mentioned in Vanilla, and then he shows up in Heavensward, too. So he's like...
okay.
His storyline is like 5+ years in the making.
And it's so fucking good. I feel incredibly bad for my mans. My mans has been through some shit.
Your mans has been through it.
I love my man's journey. Oh, it's so fucking good. And I'm barely into like the post game for Shadowbringers. We should definitely play together a bit.
We're on different data centers.
Oh fuck, that's right.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Such is
the nature
such is the
of
fate
MMOs.
of MMOs. Yep.
Wow, I love that game. I love that game too. I'm in post game. Too. Different servers.
We should play. Can't play. Womp womp womp
Womp womp.
That's
Velius, what have you been up to? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
So I have been playing, as you can attest to, Lamo. We played Exard Rev 2 the other day.
Yeah.
And you proceeded to stuff my face into my own ass, Leo player.
That's a way of putting it. I've never heard the phrase "stuff my face into my own ass," but I kind of like it. I might steal that one.
You get. I mean, feel free. It's copyright.
Yeah.
You get a quarter every time you say it. But so it's just funny though, because when we were playing, I was playing as Ram, because that was just the character I played the most as when I first picked the game up, and then after you left, I switched over to Biken, and I turned into a fucking degen, and actually learned Biken things in that game, which is kind of incredible. So the boy Master Who had a challenge where every time that he would win a match, he would drink more wine. So my strategy was to throw as much as possible. I actually didn't throw. I actually tried my best, but it took me a while to really like pick up the things that Biken can do really well, and to start making good reads, especially since Master Who plays May. So a lot of my counter strategy was not particularly effective. We also play with Scary Eyes, friend of ours, and they were playing Potemkin, which was much easier for me as Biken to counter coming in and then just punishing basically everything. But with May, I was just like, how do I approach the dolphins? How do I approach these fucking otters? How do I get past all of the beach balls that he kept throwing out at me? And as soon as I started learning how to do it with Biken specifically, it became a lot easier. And I still have a way to go, but now it's like after 4 years of playing this game, I finally have a character that I feel like I can stick with, which is a weird feeling. So there was that big revelation, which has been my kind of crowning achievement over the past week anyway. So that it took almost half a decade, but I finally have an Exard main.
Biken's a lot of fun too. I feel like she's a character that a lot of people kind of gravitated away from after they realized, oh wait, no, I have to put in some work for combos. I'm just gonna play Soul and do Gunflame.
You got to learn the matchup specifics for each character, because her game plan changes. Like, so her entire shtick is that her game plan has to change based on whatever character your opponent is. So it's like, now you have to basically analyze every single matchup that you're coming up against, and it's super frustrating, especially if you come up against like players who are much higher caliber than you, which for me is most people. But
yeah, that character's hard. I was talking to my friend who plays Biken about that today, because she was feeling it with there's a prevalent notion. So like, to people that might be listening to this and don't play Guilty Gear 1, you should play Guilty Gear. It's a very good game.
Play Guilty Gear.
Yeah, but
it's $9 on Steam right now, by the way.
Buy it. It was on sale last week. Why did you miss it? But so yeah, the core idea that Biken works on is that she's able to go into a stance called the Zami. Whether she's crouching or standing, it will absorb either mids and highs or mids and lows. And from that, while she's in that stance, she absorbs attacks and then can counterattack from it. So she has sort of a very reversal option or defensive option that's pretty unique to her that a lot of people find very frustrating and conflate frustration with something being overpowered. So a friend of mine and I were talking about how it feels to play Biken when people tell you that, like, oh, your character is overpowered and whatnot. And I said the same thing, like, that, don't listen to those people. That character is hard. I play Soul. I press 2D. Like, that's what I do. It's like I'm a doctor and I don't have a big enough brain to play Biken. I do.
But she is super fun.
I
really love playing her. Like, she is like very frustrating, but she is so just that high you get whenever you pull off like the perfect counter and take off like a third of your opponent's health is just unfucking rivaled for me.
I know. As a Leia player who has countered many bursts with a back turn D, and just like, oh, you're gonna burst? Oh, you thought? Believe me, I know and love that feeling all too well. And then I always fucking glance over at the person I'm playing, like, yeah, motherfucker.
I like how you have a video call and you're acting out the glance over right at me. on my
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
Y'all are thieves.
Yeah.
Y'all are bandits.
Yeah.
Right? Burst bandits over here. Ooh.
Yo, Burst Bandits! I like that. I've never heard that before. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm fucking down with that name.
Oh, it is.
That's going to be the new Guilty Gear Yace Weekly, Burst Bandits.
Oh no.
Ooh.
No, I've lost too many rounds to burst thirst to become go back to my old ways as the burst bandit.
So what you doing, Lamo?
God.
Just building that desk.
Yeah, I recently moved a whole bunch of shit around on my desk. And when I say recently, I mean up until about 5 minutes after we were supposed to start recording today. But that's not what I really want to talk about. That's not the thing that I'm like actually proud of. I did something this weekend that I actually wanted to do for like a very long time. I built my first Gunpla.
Oh.
Gunpla, if you don't know, is the little model Gundam kits that you can buy, and you you piece everything out together itself. It's cooler Legos, really. But you get like 3 or 4 different like sheets inside there, or I think they're called trays, where you actually have to like snip out all of the pieces, put them together, sand down some of the nubs, and then if you like some of the nicer stuff that people will do is they'll get like a thin marker, and they'll actually go in like the lines between the metal paneling on the figure to make everything stand out more and look more detailed. I didn't go and do any of that yet, but I actually found the thing that I built. I built the RX-78 Gundam, which is kind of like the classic ass Gundam. Like it's the most Gundam ass Gundam you're gonna find. But I found it at Target of all places for like no more than $15. And I was like, well, shit, I actually have like a kit, like a little toolkit for building Gundams. And I've got this other Gunpla that's been sitting in my closet for 2 years because I've been too afraid to start building it. So I was like, okay, let me buy this cheapo, like RX-78. I'll put it together. I'll see how I like it. And then if I feel confident with that, like I'm going to move on to the Goof Custom next week. That's the one that's been sitting around. And so I did it. It took me about like 3 hours maybe, and I fucking loved it. It was such a nice little Sunday craft to do, and just kind of put something on in the background on TV, sit in the living room with my girlfriend, and just let me indulge a bit in building something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, of course. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I definitely want to get more Gundam kits, more Gunpla kits.
Gunpla's I'm a fan of Gundam. Like I've even recently built a couple, and you're right, it's a lot of fun. You grab the kit, and it's just like it's a really mindful activity to do like model building or anything like that. So you kind of like sit down for like 2-3 hours, and if you want to go the extra layer, you can probably put another 2 or 3 hours into it, lining stuff. Some people actually will go over and like paint stuff onto them. It's
look at like top coat and shit.
Yeah,
like, you can go super deep with it if you want to, which is what I like. It's like, or you can just put something together and just kind of take your mind off things. Like it was so nice to do, and it was so when I first opened up the Goof Custom, and to an extent too when I first opened up the kit for the RX-78. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of parts and things that are in there, and just very easy to worry about that. But then you just start doing it, and you're like, oh, okay, this really isn't bad.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to building the Goof Custom next week. And then I actually have a figure of Zero from the Mega Man series. Specifically from like the... what was it? From like the Game Boy Advance, like Mega Man Zero games.
Mm-hmm.
I have a figure of that where it's the same kind of thing. You have to build it like you would a Gunpla rather. And so I'm probably going to do that pretty soon too.
Cool beans. Are you on the topic of Gundam? Are you gonna play Gundam Versus? Are you thinking about it?
I want to. I bought Gundam Versus like way late in the game, that I never really put more than like an hour into it. It's a cool game. I just, for whatever reason, I felt a little overwhelmed, and by the time I started playing it or trying to play it, everyone was pretty well acquainted with it already. I felt very behind. But with the new one coming out, Maxi Boost On, is that what it is?
Yeah, Mban.
Yeah. For whatever reason, whenever I see Mban, I think Monster Blood Online. Monster Blood being that one Goosebumps book with the fucking hamster.
That's true.
So I was thinking Monster Blood Online, and I don't know why, but I want to. I was actually talking to some people earlier. They're having like open betas like every weekend leading up to release. So shit, like I might as well download it and give it a shot. No harm in not doing it.
Yeah, it's I was playing the most recent beta. We can probably get like TK Shadow or Lumen on here for a future episode. I think it's somewhere in the docket to talk about how to Gundam and a primer on like the Gundam Versus series, because I'm loving it. It's a really fun game.
Hell yeah.
And
so I take it you've been playing the betas then, correct?
I played a lot of M-Bomb this weekend. I also just ordered a Gunpla of the suit that I was playing over the weekend because I'm just like, oh man, I could just buy that. I'm getting paid soon.
Yeah.
So
what okay, so what did you get?
I got the Gaia Gundam, which is from a series I have not seen. It's from Seed, but in the game it's got two modes. One is like the traditional like upright robot, and then it has a mode change where it turns into basically a Zoid and gets like more mobile and becomes a melee fighter. And it's a lot of fun to play. I've really been enjoying it, and so yeah, you just sold me on a Gunpla in real time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We officially fucking in there.
We're going to have to start up Yace builds.
Build?
As our next series.
I've thought of doing that as like a stream. Just like, all right, let me just get like my camera pointed at like a mat or something on my desk and just start building. Just shoot the shit.
There's some streamers like Vampy Bit Me who have the dual cam setup where it's like they have the face cam and then the overhead over their desk so that you can see like what they're actually doing, since there's so much like precise measuring and it's kind of boring to watch someone like hunch over and just be like, hello, like I'm making these small things that you guys can't see. So
I figured we could like put some chill music over or something,
No, for sure. It's great for that. I also want to play Maxi Boost. I don't know if I'll have the funds for it just yet. But I really want to play it because it looks really fun. I just don't know if I can wing it myself.
When does it actually come out?
July. I think it's like late July.
July? Okay. So there's still a decent bit of time.
I just know I always want more representation because my favorite series for Gundam is 08th MS Team.
Yeah! Sorry, I got really excited. I love 8th MS Team.
So fucking good.
Oh.
I used to have a Gunpla kit in my house for that. I had to go search for that specific model because it's my favorite series, and I was convinced that I needed to go build it immediately and put it in. So my favorite position for it was to have it kneeling, using its shield with the assault rifle version, not the laser rifle. Because for some reason, I don't know what it is, but just Gundams having like actual ballistic based weaponry is so much more interesting to me than just laser weapons all the time. So I kept it in that position, and it was actually facing a Goof custom, similar to the one that is in the show later on. Not the same one, but I was just like, I don't know if that model even exists, so I'm just going to use this Goof custom and fake it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was my setup. Favorite.
Gundam is good.
Gundam is very good.
It's extremely good.
Even Gundam Build Fighters. Go watch season 1 of Gundam Build Fighters. That show fucking rules. That show's like a giant love letter to Gundam, and I'm always about it.
It's actually my favorite Gundam series.
Yeah?
Build Fighters is my favorite Gundam series.
Nothing wrong with it.
You get all the cool robot, but you don't feel bad about it.
Also, Domon shows up at one point. It's implied that Domon is like someone's like teacher.
It's not even implied. It's explicitly Domon.
Yeah?
So like end of the second series, this is like, I guess, cover your ears if you don't want to hear a spoiler about
It's been
the
years,
Gundam
fuck
where they're
it.
fighting with models. But it's been years, and at the end of the second series, Try, they reveal that the main character who fights in his own version of Burning Gundam, or God Gundam, was taught martial arts by Domon Kashu.
God.
Because there's
I
a whole
love it.
thing. There's a whole thing in Build Fighters where the director basically conceived this series as like Gundam Valhalla, where some of the more tragic characters can have the life they should have had it not been marred by war in whatever series they were in. So like there's a scene in the first series where a young Domon is sitting there building a little like shining Gundam Gunpla with his mom and his dad and his brother.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and
Fuck.
and then in the second series, so this is what I love. It's like there is a continuity between the series that where Domon Kashu exists in as a person, and that also, even absent all the tragedy in his life, even without being forced into the Gundam fight, without feeling like Kyoji had betrayed him, his father is in cryostasis, his mother is dead, he becomes the exact same person, and I aspire to have that level of personal integrity.
I love it.
It's so good.
No joke. Nerdiest shit I will ever admit. When you said the words Gundam Valhalla, I got chills. I got actual chills when you said that. Nerdiest thing I'll admit for a good long while.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, and then there's the in the same episode with Domon where they have like Char has a cameo, where he does like the sunglasses thing from the I came here to laugh at you.
Oh,
Watch Build Fighters. I know this is like an extensive tangent, but
fuck
this
it.
is the
This
Gundam
is good.
section.
yeah, it's Gundam hours. It's real Gundam hours.
We need to have an actual episode where we just talk about Gundam, whether it's like series, whether it's games. We'll do that. Put that in the docket for around the time that Unbound comes out.
So we're gonna put that one in the archives for now. Pull that out, dust that one off.
Always got to ask about what your favorite models are too. You can never have a Gundam discussion without bringing up because the thing is, and what makes it more interesting than talking about series is that then you can include awesome Gundam models from terrible series because they just happen to be super cool and where they appear, but everything else is awful about it.
Yo, right off the top of my head, Goof Custom, that's number 1 with a bullet, but Tall Geese is also very close to number 2. Tall Geese is just fucking like slick as fuck.
So many like great Gundam appear in Gundam Wing, but there's just so fucking many of them and the plot makes no sense. It's like it's a pretty bad show, but I'm an edgelord and therefore love Death Scythe.
I was gonna say, are you about to say Death
is
Scythe?
dope.
When you said like I'm an edgelord, I'm like, oh yeah, this is it.
Yeah, you know exactly where it's going.
I can't give you too much shit because Death Scythe is the background on my
Literally
phone.
your phone background.
Yeah, it is literally the background, the wallpaper for my phone.
Wow, low-key
Look, you get-
edgelord here.
You give me a Gundam that has a cloak, like Pirate Gundam, and I'm going to love it, okay? It's like
There you
Gundam
go.
Crossbones is another one of my favorites. It does not come from a very good series either, but I'm going to love it anyway.
Fuck it, yeah. Chase your goddamn bliss.
I don't even think it has a model, but I honestly, pound for pound, I think my favorite Gundam design is, I want to say it's the Windmill Gundam from G.
From G Gundam,
I don't think it has a model,
just
but
by sheer virtue of it existing.
just like, gee, some of the designs that happen. So like when I watched that as a kid, I was like, sure, this makes sense. And then watching it as an adult, I'm like, this is very racist.
Tequila Gundam.
Oh god,
Oh, God.
Tequila Gundam.
a lot of G Gundam is problematic,
Yeah.
To say the least.
There.
to say the least.
Although, like, I do love just how spot on its interpretation of America is with Chibbity Crockett and Gundam Maxter.
I love Chibbity Crockett so much.
The Gundam that boxes.
Who has
Yeah, it has
who
a
has
football
bigger-
helmet. And
who has bigger himbo energy, Chibbity Crockett or Domon Kashu?
definitely, Chibbity is, like, the biggest himbo across the series.
Oh my god.
I feel Chibbity is the bigger himbo at the beginning of the series, but every time Domon says Kyoji, his himbo value rises by 1, and eventually by the end of the series, he has surpassed.
I disagree. I think that Chibity maintains his himbo trajectory. It may not have as much of a meteoric rise, but I think that the fact that his intercept is higher than Domon means that, even though Domon conceivably will surpass him in the future, Chibity is up there right now.
Yeah. He's in the Himbo Hall of Fame.
Himbo Valhalla.
Oh, that's our title. That is 100% our title.
I knew that's what you were going to say. That hurts me.
Oh, I love it.
We need a.
Okay, I know we've gone on about Gundam for a while, but I have one last Gundam adjacent question.
All right.
What's your favorite mecha that's not from Gundam?
Janessa Gaogaigar.
Love it. You had that fucking answer ready.
I knew it.
Velius?
Trying to think, because I'm sitting here with a fucking Gurren Lagann tattoo on my arm.
I think that makes your choice for you. You made that choice when you put that on your body.
Yeah.
I still love Gurren Lagann, but I think as far as like just personal value goes, it would probably, because I'm assuming we're discounting Sentai from this since it's live action.
No,
that works.
So
okay.
Sentai in
there.
Yeah.
Then Sentai series as a whole, but a close follow-up would be Macross.
I can absolutely respect that.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'd probably have to go with the Mega Deuce from Big O. I fucking love Big O. That is one of like my favorite fucking shows.
We have
great
come
show.
to terms.
In the name of Yase, I judge thee. Ye not guilty. Ye not shit anyway.
Cast in the name of Rick.
Cast in the name of Rick, and then on that screen, it just has him Millie rocking on the moon.
Thank you, Rick Owens. Please don't sue us.
Oh, thank you, Rick Owens.
I need this as a tattoo now.
Rick Owens Millie rocking on the moon.
Not only that, but the rest of the wordage too.
Cast in the name of Rick, ye not guilty.
It's got to be like wrapped around my thigh or something.
When quarantine ends, you get your Rick Owens tattoo.
Fuck. Oh man. Okay, we we gotta move on a little bit. Man, there's I know we talked about itch.io last week and we went to revisit that, but I know fairly soon pick up the bundle. Morgan, you weren't around last week, so I mean, do you want to talk about things that you've been playing on itch.io or just indie games in general?
We ran a little bit long in that last segment, so I'm comfortable moving on. I think you guys did a great job actually last week. It was the first time I haven't been on an episode, so everything while I was editing it, I was like, this is new and surprising, and y'all like really did good content. I enjoyed.
Oh shucks.
Yeah.
Yo, turn off episode 13. This episode's trash. Go back and listen to last week's episode 12. That shit fire.
No, we can't delete this. We talk so much about Gundam.
It's fine.
Never delete Gundam.
Never too much Gundam talk. Okay, that could possibly be a thing, but all
right, y'all. I warned you there was going to be a rough cut, and this is it. We again had a conversation here about ongoing allegations of misconduct, abuse, and harassment going between both the fighting game community, but also in the games industry and media as a whole. And at the end, we weren't happy with it. So we've kind of cut that and made the collective decision that it was probably better to not contribute noise to a discussion and instead to just encourage people to listen to people as they come forward, even if you have attachments to or happen to like the people that are having allegations brought forward about them. It's all you can really give to people. So we're going to probably cut right to the ending here. Again, sorry about this. We're still trying to figure out a balance between obviously the things that we feel passionate about and also the tone that we're going for on the podcast, and having a very mature and very heavy discussion after joking about Gundam just didn't feel appropriate given the weight of the issue. And so we're not doing that. All right. Well, this is going to cut right to the end here, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Okay, that is going to wrap up episode 13 of the YASEcast. Thank you so much for listening. We got into some real important shit this week that kind of needed to be talked about. We will be back next week. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. But until then, I am Lamo. Thank you, Morgan, for joining. Thank you, Velius, for joining. Where can the people find you?
Yeah. People can find me at FOG_E on Twitter.com. You can find me at my Twitch at the same. I probably won't be streaming for a while because I gotta kind of give some thoughts about whether or not I want to continue with doing that. But maybe I will. Who knows? And that's about it for me.
You can find me, Velius, at Twitter at _Velius. You can also see me blog on realbattleonfilm.wordpress.com. And sometimes, very rarely, occasionally, we'll see what happens on Twitch at VeliusVS.
And you can find me, Lamo, on Twitter at Lamo_SD. And you can find me in the middle of a cornfield during a full moon by burning a straw doll shaped like me. I will find you. Alrighty, y'all. Episode 13. Woo!
What the fuck?
We will see you next week.